The council chamber of Zerion Prime hummed with the low vibrations of 1,000 different species, each representing worlds scattered across the galaxy. Tall, crystalline beings from Zenthara clicked their geometric limbs against the floor in agitation. The gaseous entities from the Nebula Collective swirled in anxious patterns, their translucent forms shifting between purple and amber. At the center of it all, the ancient Cytherians sat motionless, their weathered faces bearing the weight of millennia. Commander Vex Hall of the Dominion Fleet stood at the podium, his forearms gesticulating wildly as he addressed the assembly. His species, the Zephyrites, had ruled the Outer Rim for 3 centuries through superior technology and ruthless efficiency. Their metallic skin reflected the chamber's lights as he spoke with conviction. The humans have expanded beyond their designated sector, Vex Hall declared, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. They've established colonies on 17 worlds that rightfully belong to the Confederation. Their primitive vessels dare to traverse our trade routes. This insolence cannot stand. A chorus of agreement rose from the younger species, the Veilites, with their insectoid features clicking in approval, the reptilian Scarans hissing their consent. The galaxy's newer powers saw opportunity in Vex Hall's words, a chance to prove their strength against what they perceived as an upstart species. But in the shadows of the great chamber, Elder Thymon of the Cytherians slowly rose. At over 4,000 years old, he was among the last of his kind who remembered the early days of galactic civilization. His ancient voice cut through the din like a blade through silk. "Sit down, Commander," Thymon said, each word carrying the weight of eons. "You know not what you propose." Vex Hall's 4 eyes narrowed as he turned toward the Elder. "With respect, Ancient One, the Cytherians have grown soft in your isolation. These humans are barely a century into space travel. Their weapons are crude, their ships slow. A single Dominion fleet could." "Could what?" Thymon interrupted, his staff striking the floor with a resonance that silenced the entire chamber. "Could repeat the mistakes of the hegemony? The Ravagers? The Iron Syndicate?" Each name he spoke sent ripples of unease through the assembly. These were the great powers of the past, civilizations that had once seemed unshakable. Commander Vex Hall's confidence wavered slightly. Those empires fell to internal strife, they fell to humanity. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Thymon's ancient eyes swept across the chamber, meeting the gaze of every delegate. Each believed as you do now. Each saw only primitive apes wielding crude tools. Each learned too late what we Cytherians discovered when we were young and foolish. The chamber erupted in scoffs and dismissive chittering from the younger species. How could these bipedal creatures, confined to their single star system for most of their existence, possibly threaten the established galactic order? Thymon raised his hand, and holographic displays materialized around the chamber. The hegemony commanded fleets that blotted out stars. They had mastered energy manipulation beyond your current understanding. When they moved to pacify the human homeworld, they brought 12,000 vessels. The displays showed massive dreadnoughts, each one dwarfing entire human cities. The humans had barely achieved faster than light travel. Their largest ships were mining vessels converted for war. By every logical calculation, they should have surrendered within days. The hologram shifted, showing scattered debris fields where once mighty fleets had soared. Instead, the humans did something no other species had ever done when faced with overwhelming force. They didn't flee. They didn't surrender. They didn't even fight conventionally. Thymon's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow reached every corner of the chamber. They adapted. New images flickered to life, human ships retrofitted with salvaged alien technology, weapons cobbled together from mining equipment and desperation. In 3 months, they turned asteroids into missiles, their children into engineers, their desperation into innovation. They learned our languages by dissecting our comm systems. They reverse-engineered our shields from wreckage. And they never, ever stopped coming. Vexhall shifted uncomfortably. Surely exaggeration. The Ravagers thought so too, Thyman continued. They came next, confident that their bioweapons would succeed where brute force had failed. They created plagues, designed to target human DNA specifically. The holograms showed worlds ravaged by disease, populations decimated. The humans should have died. Their biology was simple, their medicine primitive. Instead, they survived. Not all of them, never all of them, but enough. And those who survived weren't the same. They had adapted again, not just technologically, but biologically. Generation by generation, they built immunity not just to the Ravagers' weapons, but to the very concept of genetic warfare. The chamber had grown deathly quiet. Even the most arrogant species began to show signs of unease. The Iron Syndicate tried economic warfare, Thyman said, his ancient voice carrying the weight of witnessed history. They blockaded human worlds, starved their colonies, made their currency worthless. The displays showed images of human families rationing food, children learning to repair machinery with salvaged parts. The humans adapted again. They built closed-loop economies, learned to thrive on nothing, made scarcity into strength. Thyman turned to face Commander Vexhall directly. Do you know what happened to the Iron Syndicate? The commander's metallic skin had lost its luster. They fell apart. They fell apart because the humans had infiltrated every level of their society. Not through force or conquest, but through simple persistence. They worked the worst jobs, learned from the bottom up, and when they finally revealed themselves, they didn't destroy the syndicate. Thyman's eyes glowed with an ancient fire. They bought it. The display shifted one final time, showing humanity's current expansion, not the aggressive military colonization that Vexhall had described, but something far more insidious. Human traders, human settlers, human teachers and engineers spreading across the galaxy like seeds on the wind. This is what you fail to understand about humanity, Thyman said, his voice now filled with something approaching reverence. They don't conquer. They don't dominate. They adapt, and in adapting, they become indispensable. Every species that has tried to destroy them has either joined them or been forgotten by history. Commander Vexhall looked around the chamber, seeing doubt in faces that had moments before been filled with confident aggression. What are you suggesting we do? Simply allow them to? I suggest, Thyman said, settling back into his seat with the weight of ages, that you learn from the wisdom of elders. The humans are not your enemy unless you make them so, and if you make them your enemy. He paused, letting the silence stretch. Well, there's a reason the Cytherians are the only ancient power that still exists. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, the delegates began to file out, their grand plans of conquest abandoned. Only Vexhall remained, staring at the holographic displays of human expansion with new understanding. In the depths of space, human ships continued their patient journey to the stars, carrying with them the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy, the absolute certainty that somehow, some way, they would survive and thrive, no matter what the universe threw at them. The elders had warned them, but as always, wisdom came only through experience. And by then, it was far too late to stop what had already begun.